I started recording. All right. I guess the meeting is recording is started. All right. So again, the people who have just joined right now, I'm just gonna give my introduction again. My name is Muhammad Furqan Ahmad, and I am the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador at the beta level. Right. Today, the topic of our workshop is Microsoft Power BI using DAX, data analysis expressions. Right? And in this workshop, we are gonna cover some of the steps regarding, like data analysis expressions. We are gonna unlock the stuff. We are gonna see that how we are gonna, like unlock some of the stuffs, like how you're gonna transform the data, load the data, how you can do some changes, how you can do a kind of feature engineering, like how you're gonna uh, put a new column into your data by using Power BI. How we're gonna see like what are the things that we're gonna like get to like with the help of Power BI. So Power BI can be like used on like on Power BI desktop, like on your PC or laptop. It can even be accessible on your mobile phones, right? Apart from that, you can even use it on the tablets. So this is where you can like go and check that how you're gonna see or like see the, or view the reports even on your like laptop, PC or tablets and even mobiles. There is very like uh, unique quote like if you torture your data long enough it will confess to anything. Now what does this thing means? So it means that if you're going to ask as many questions as you want from your data, it's gonna like give you more and more detailed insights from your data, right? It's totally upon you. It's like what I mainly say is that like if you're going to play with your data, you're going to get more and more insights from your data. So this basically like uh, the thing that's going to play around. Moving towards, there are three main questions for those who don't even have an idea like what exactly is Power BI, what are the advantages of using Power BI, and why should you use Power BI. So getting started from like what is Power BI. So it is basically like Power BI, like I can define Power BI in two ways. The first one which I'm gonna use is the wait a sec, yeah. So Power BI is a business intelligence, right? Business intelligence tool which will help you analyze your data, clean your data, and convert your data into visual format where you can create different reports and different dashboards. So this is a business intelligence tool, right? Apart from that, Power BI is a collection of four components. Now, talking about the components, these are the four components, which is Power Query, Power Pivot, Power View, and the last Power BI service. Starting from the Power Query, like what exactly is the Power Query? So the Power Query, it is a ETL tool. What is the ETL tool? It will extract, transform, and load the data, or in other language, if I say, it is used to clean the data. When you have blank records, null values, or empty records, or different unclean data, it will clean the data for the visualizations, right? The Power Pivot, it is used for data modeling, where you have multiple data sources. If you want to connect them, create relationship between them, you can use Power BI, right? The third one is the Power View. So the third tool for the visualization, that is Power View, it can help you to create, like 250 plus charts, right? Like visuals. That can be bar chart, pie chart, or any other chart, right? For the presentation of the reports or dashboards. Now, the last one is the Power BI service. So this is the main thing, like what is the use of this one? So after creating all this, like after cleaning visualization, if you want creating visualization, if you want to share the report with different people sitting across the world, you can use Power BI service. So Power BI service will help you to create users to help users to communicate between each other via the report. So it's a package of four components, which is already in front of you. Now, the thing is that why Power BI, right? So in this question, like what is Power BI? I'm gonna answer all of the questions. Like the main 5 points, which is gonna be which I've gathered is the first one is the like the search volume. There is gonna be maximum number of features, cost of Power BI, data connectivity recognized by Gartner. So talking about the first one, which is the search volume. So if you guys can see simply this chart, this is basically the past 5 years of data of the Microsoft Power BI, which I have gathered from the Google Trend, right? This is the line chart. So if you guys can see, there is a slightly, like upward trend coming in the Power BI. Like there is a slightly increase in this chart. So this basically shows that the search volume regarding the Power BI is increasing with time, right? Now, if I'm gonna compare it with other, like business intelligence tools like Tableau, so I also did that one. And talking about the part regarding if I'm gonna consider like comparing the Power BI with the Tableau one, so if you guys can see that the Tableau is obviously the, like on the upper hand, like it is the most, we can say old software for the business intelligence. Power BI is regarding necessarily new for that thing. So that is what the Tableau is normally have. But which is the main thing to focus over here is the trend. If you guys can see that the trend for the Tableau over the past 5 years, it shows that there is no trend. Like it is a constant line. There are some crusts and troughs over this, like line chart. But if you guys can see that there is, like a slighter straight trend, like constant, which says that there is no trend over here. But if you guys can see for the Power BI, it is starting from here and it's a bit upward. So the thing is that the Power BI shows that, like this line chart basically shows us that over the time, the Power BI has a slightly increasing trend. And who knows that in the later years, this trend will go more and increasing, right? Now, talking about the maximum number of features, right? So in the wait a sec. Yeah. So the second reason that you can go for Power BI, that's the maximum number of features. If you compare with other tools in the market like Tableau, right? Power BI has maximum number of features. You can write 1200 different functions. You can create approximately 280 visuals, different charts in Power BI. So this feature is not available on the any other tools. As are there are, but they are not that much great that the Power BI including is, right? So this is one of the main reason why the maximum number of features are there for the Power BI. Now, talking about the cost of Power BI. Now, here's the thing. Uh, if you guys have any idea, like I'm sure that most of the people who are here, they have a bit idea about the Tableau software also. So in the Tableau, whenever you're gonna download the Tableau software, it only gives you a 14 days free trial, right? After that, you have to buy the product or something like that, and only then you're gonna be able to, like use the Tableau software for even they are students or the someone else. Like if you are student, then there might be some relaxation. But talking about the business owners and something like that, you have to pay for the software. But the the main thing about the Power BI desktop is that it is totally free. There is no downloading charges. There are no other charges. There are some charges, but that is only for the Power BI service. If you want to share your report the worldwide, so that's gonna be there. There are gonna be some charges for that, and that is approximately $10 for that thing. All right. No, data connectivity, as I earlier have mentioned, is that like Power BI, no, the Power BI is capable of, it has the capability to importing data from 100 different data sources, and it can bring data from Excel, SQL, Oracle, Big Data, Hadoop, or even in the cloud. Just name the data source and it's gonna pick the data out of it, right? So it's really easy for the Power BI to connect with different sources. So it has the great capacity in terms of the data connectivity, right? Now, the fifth point, but the major point is the recognized by the Gartner, right? So Gartner is basically, what is Gartner? So Gartner is basically gives the report every year regarding the BI, like tools, business intelligence tools. As we have mentioned in the Power BI is the business intelligence tool. So it gives the report on the business intelligence tools. And if you guys can see over here that Microsoft is on the top, right? So Microsoft Business Intelligence tools, one of the major business intelligence tools is only the Power BI. You can do some of the business intelligence tasks in the Excel, but the main reason to use Power BI, it is the business intelligence tool, and that is why the Microsoft is on the top. And it also is a collection of other softwares, obviously. And if you guys can see that Tableau is on the second point, or you can see the Amazon Web Services are on the second. You can simply look at this thing. Tableau is basically a software of a Salesforce company. That is why it is written Salesforce and then Tableau, right? Now, cons- the main thing is that how Power BI is going to work. So there are two main components of the Power BI. One is the Power BI desktop, on which we are going to have the hands-on experience, and the other one is the Power BI service, which I have already told you is that can connect with different people around the globe, right, through this using this service. And last but not the least, it is the business intelligence tools, which is going to help you out to draw conclusions and do everything from your data, right? Let me just add some people. All right. Now, so this is basically the download and installation link of the Power BI. You can even go on your Microsoft apps and you can simply, like go over there and write Microsoft Power BI. You're gonna simply, like click on the download. It's gonna download in your PC, or you can simply go onto the web page, right on the Google. You can write down Power BI, and the Power BI is gonna be downloaded over there, right? So it's not that a complex thing. It is really easy to do. Now, this is the main thing where the game is going to change, right? So, talking about the DAX, like what is DAX? So, first of all, DAX is basically the data analysis expressions. In my previous session, I've talked about the visualizations only, like how we're going to create visuals and all that stuff. I didn't talk about any kind of, like how we're going to transform the data or something like that. But in this session, we are going to also talk about like if you want to clean your data, if you want to do something with your data, you can easily do that thing, right? Just a sec. Right. All right. So what is that? So it is a powerful formula language used in Power BI, right? Power Pivot and analysis service for data modeling and analysis. So the thing is that DAX is going to be used in the Power Pivot, and there is also a different, point in the DAX option. You can even do some DAX analysis, DAX models. You can, and basically, what is DAX? DAX is also, you can say it as it is a kind of a coding language. You can simply name it as a low code also, right? It's totally depend on you how you're gonna take it to the view. Now, one more thing is that DAX also allows user to perform calculations, aggregations, and build complex data models. What is the goal of the DAX? You're going to understand the types of operators used in DAX and their significance. Only then you're going to be able to, perform some of the operations of the DAX. Now, the thing is that I'm a bit, taking some time to be, to do a bit, I'm taking some time on this stuff. Is that, when we are going to come to the hands-on experience stuff, you guys are going to be clear that how the game is going on and how is everything is going on. So, talking about the type of DAX operators, all right? So, DAX supports different type of operators to perform calculations, right? Data transformations and logical operations. So the main categories of operators are arithmetic. There is a comparison. There's going to be text concatenation that you can join two text. Like if you have a column of first name and the second name, you can concatenate them and you can join them, right? There are logical operators like true, false, or the Boolean one in which the logical operator is going to be, like something equal to, greater, smaller, something like that. There is date and time, and then there is join and special. If you have, for example, two or more Excel files, right, or CSV files, and you want to join them, Power BI allows you to join those, like Excel files with each other, and you can do your analysis over there, or you can build visuals from there, right? Now, talking about the arithmetic operators, I've just mentioned the simpler one, which are addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, power, and so on, right? These are going to be the operators that are used in the data analysis expressions to perform calculations and do the stuff. Now, what are the comparison operators? It's going to be equal to, there's going to be greater than, not equal to sign is gonna be over here. Like different programming languages have different, like ways, but in DAX it's gonna be like this one. Then there's a less than, greater than, or equal to, and then less than or equal to. These are, like the operators used for the DAX. Talking about the logical operators, these are gonna be logical and, this is gonna be logical not, then logical or and or. These are gonna be the way how you're gonna, if you're gonna use these logical operators, this is gonna be the way how you're gonna use them, right? Now, we're going to go for the summary of what's going to be the whole summary of the data analysis expressions. All right. So talking about the summary of data analysis expressions. So here's the thing that DAX provides a wide range of operators for performing various calculations and data manipulations, right? And understanding the type of operators in DAX is essential for creating effective data models in Power BI. This is the most important thing. If you guys have no idea like what type of operators you're going to use or how you're going to use them, then it's going to be really no use to use the DAX one. So it's going to be a really hell of the problem for you guys to use the DAX operators, right? So you should have this great knowledge over the operators even when you're going to use the DAX, right? Now we are going to have some hands-on experience over the Power BI. I'm also going to give you a short intro, like what is the Power BI desktop, like an idea like how this thing is going to work, right? All right. So let's just wait till it loads. And in the meanwhile, if you guys have any questions, you can even write down on chat. So at the end, I can even answer those. And I would try my best to allow you all to use your mic and everything at the end of the session, right? So uh, if you guys have any questions, you can even write them on chat also, right? Now, whenever you're going to open the Power BI, this is going to be the interface of the Power BI. So what I'm going to do is like I can simply go over the blank report, right? I'm going to simply click over here. I'm just simply going to cross it. Now, this is the whole thing, right? Now, these are your, like top three views. The first one over here is the report view, where you're going to see your visuals and everything, right? You're going to see how your visuals are going to be. This is, like the different charts, and you can even make more of them, right? Uh, Talking about the table view, this is going to be the how you're gonna I'm gonna say is like whenever you're gonna have the Excel sheet, right, of your data, you can see that there are some tables and everything. So you can view the data over here in the form of the Excel one, right? This is the model view. What is the model view? Model view is basically the part in which you guys can connect different, like Excel sheets. You can join them, you can union them, whatever you want. And this part over here is the DAX query. So here you can write the commands over here and you can do everything, right? Now, first of all, I'm gonna connect the data, right? And this is gonna be like I have one text file, or you can simply say a CSV file. So I'm simply gonna click over here, right? And this is the file which I'm gonna use. Now, after what I've clicked over here, you guys can see that no, this is connecting, right? This is the procedure. This takes a bit of the time. After seeing that this is my Excel sheet, this was my Excel sheet, and this is the data which I'm gonna, this is the raw data actually, right? First of all, I'm just gonna explain you that this is the raw data. We are gonna do some of the calculations. We are gonna use some DAX operations over here, and by that, we're gonna know like how you're gonna do some of the analysis over here. So this is my data, and what I'm gonna do is like once it is connected, what I'm gonna do is I'm simply gonna load the data. And once loading, it's gonna take some time and it's gonna be loaded over here. Now, just see over here that this is taking some time and it is creating connection in model. It is loading the data. Now, this is what, first of all, what we did, we extract the data, we load it, and now later on stages we are also going to transform it, right? So once it is loaded, you guys can see over here, like the Titanic is over here. Like this is was my file name, and this is how my data is gonna come over here. And when I'm gonna click over here, you guys can see that these are the columns, right, of my data. And what does this sign mean? This is the summation. Like these are the numeric values in my data, which are coming over here, right? So these are the things which are going to come over here. Now, if I'm gonna go back again towards the table view, you guys can see that the data is again in the form of the Excel sheet, right? Like this is the way how you guys are gonna see, like this is the whole, and you guys can even see over here 891 rows are in my data, and this is my whole data over here, right? One more thing that I want to add is that like you guys can even use Copilot. Now, what is Copilot? Before the AI, like artificial intelligence, there were a lot of the books, like in the market which people use, and with the help of those, like people use them and try to write down the queries for the DAX and everything else. But after the AI, right, you guys can simply, like use Copilot. I don't have the access to it. That is the reason I cannot use the Copilot. But if you guys can have the access, you guys can simply use it and you can write down the DAX operations over there. I just have one request. If someone has opened the mic, so please mute it. Thank you. Now, the other thing is that, like I was telling you about the Copilot. So Copilot is gonna help you out. Like if you don't have the books, there is no need for them. You can simply, it is a kind of the AI part, right? Which you're gonna write the query and it's gonna help you out at which specific query you're gonna use and do that thing. You can simply go over here, quick measures. There are some of the points like in the calculation, like you can simply use these over here, like how you're gonna average per category, filter values, you can use them, or the simply one, the suggestions with the Copilot, and you're gonna use them, right? So these are the things, that's how the stuff is gonna work over here. Now, talking about the stuff. Now, if I'm gonna go back to my, now the things is gonna be a bit uh, funny, that you're gonna now use the, like if you guys can see over here in the data, here's the thing, that this is the age column. So if you guys can see over here clearly, there are so many, like missing values over here. Now here are some values. So there are some, like missing values in my age. And if you guys can see in the tag, there is also some of the missing values. And, like, uh, you guys can simply see over here, like if I'm gonna click over here on the survived. So, so here's the thing, like there are the values in the form of 0 and 1. So there are no missing values. How you're gonna know that there is missing values? So if I'm gonna click on the age, you guys can see that there is gonna be this one. Like below the select all, there is an option of blank. So blank basically means that how many missing values are there. So if, for example, I'm gonna check that how many blank values are there in my age, right? So what I'm gonna simply gonna click over here, and I'm gonna, like if I'm gonna see over here like this, just simply, so there are 177, like missing values in my age column, right? Now, talking about the deck one, if you're gonna click over here, you guys can see that in the deck, if I want to see that how many null values or missing values are there in the deck, so there is 688 values. Now there is one rule, which I'm sure that you guys be aware of, that if at least, like 40% or 50%, or even, like more than 80% of the data is missing. Mostly we say that the 50, more than 50% or more than 80% of the data is missing in one column. What you guys are gonna do, you guys are simply gonna, like delete it or remove it, right? So I'm gonna simply go over here, right? And I'm gonna delete this whole column. Now, it's gonna take some time and it's gonna do that. So once it is deleted, you guys can see that the deck column is not also over here. Like if I'm gonna go back,
Hi, Furqan Ahmad. Can you listen me? We cannot listen you. Can you please on your mic?
For how much time were you guys not able to hear me?
Yeah, just for the previous 2 to 3 minutes.
Oh, I'm really sorry about that then. Uh, well, let me just then go back. What is the last thing which you guys have heard from my side so that I can explain that stuff again?
We are checking the missing columns, missing data in the columns.
No. All right. So I'm gonna do one thing. All right. So I hope now you guys can hear me. Wait a sec. All right. Just let me know at any moment if you guys cannot hear me, right? All right. So we were talking about the stuff like I told you over there, like there was a deck column in which, like more than 50% or even 80% of the values were missing in that column. So what I did, I just simply, like delete that column because it is a rule in which, like if your specific column has more than 80% or more than 50% of missing values, what you guys are gonna do is that you guys can simply like remove that column from your data, right? Talking about the age group, like in the age group, I mentioned that, like there are, like some values which are missing, and there are 177 values which we have checked earlier. Is that 177 values out of 899, 891 values, 177 were missing. And talking about the embark down, still there are only two missing values over there. So we are gonna, like deal with that stuff also, right? Now, moving towards like how we are gonna deal with that stuff. So I'm gonna simply, if I'm on a table view, right, I'm gonna simply go into the home side, right, in this button, and after that, I'm gonna click on the transform data. When I'm gonna click it, I'm gonna click on the transform data. And this is the Power Query editor where we are going to transform the data. We are going to do some of the operations. We can even use DAX operations over here also, right? So it's not something which is going to be, like problematic for you guys or something like that. Now, if you guys can see over here, uh, in my age data, you guys can see the missing values are being represented with the null values, right? So whenever you are gonna face this problem, what you guys can do is like you guys can simply impute them. So or for the imputation, we can use the mean imputation over here. Why? Because we are dealing with the numeric values, right? So this is the thing that we're gonna deal with. Now, for the imputation and all of that stuff, you guys should have an idea like which value you guys are gonna have to put over here. So for that, what I'm gonna do is like I'm gonna simply go towards this point, and what I'm gonna do is like I'm gonna go to my report view, right? And over here, I'm gonna uh, simply click on the new measure, right? So in this new measure, now if you guys can see, there was a problem. Yeah. So the problem was that first of all, I have to close this Power Query editor. Only then I would be able to, like do some changes in my uh, Power BI. So first of all, the thing is that you guys have to, like if your Power Query editor is open, first of all, just simply close it and then do some calculations over here. So in the new mirror, I'm gonna come over here. Uh, yeah. So here is my new measure. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to write down the average age just to find out what is the average age of my data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply write down average age, and then this is basically a measure. It is not a column, it is just simply a measure which I'm going to add over here. So average age is going to be equals to average, the formula for the average. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply write down the Titanic age, right? And simply close the bracket. Now, what I'm going to enter it, so it's going to put the mirror over here. Now, when I'm going to click over here, you guys can see that this is the average value of my age, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply, like impute this value over there. So for example, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply go over here into transform data, uh, right? And then I'm going to go over this Power Query editor and this age value, right? What I'm going to do is like I'm going to go over this transform button, right? And in this transform button, I'm going to go over here, replace values, and then I'm going to click the replace values. So, which is the value which I have to find? So just we have mentioned over there that we have the null values, right? And now I'm just simply gonna uh, replace it with the mean value or any other value. Like if I'm gonna use this value, for example, so it's also gonna go be there. Once I'm done, you guys can see instead of null values, now there are uh, on the place of the null values, there are now only like 29.07 over here, right? Instead of the null values. So these are the mean values which we have done over here. Now going on the home button, and then simply what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the close and apply. So it's going to be applied over there. Let's see what's going to happen. So now you guys can see that the average is also changed, right? If you're going to go again, you can simply go over here. You're going to click on the transform data, right? I'm going to go over here in transform and then click over the replace values. This checkboxes come over here. I'm going to simply, like write down that value over here. So that's how the things are going to be working with the stuff. Like I'm simply gonna replace that 29.07 with, like for example, 29.07 with 29.57, right? So I'm gonna click OK, and then going back to home, and then I'm simply gonna click on the close and apply. So this is how the mean imputation is gonna work. And after that, the Power Query, when I click on the close and apply, it's gonna take a bit of the time, and you can see that it is loading over here, right? So after loading, this value is also gonna change. Hmm, I guess there was a bit change expected to be there. Let me see what was the stuff going over there. So I'm gonna click on the transform, replace values, 29.07 to find and replace it with 29.57. Oh, so this was the thing. I haven't selected this part. So 29.07, replace it with 29.57. I'm gonna click on OK. Now you see that the 29.07 is being replaced with 29.57. So I'm simply going to go over home on this option and I'm going to click on the close and apply option. So it's going to take a bit of the time and it's going to load. And now the value is going to change over here also. So it is now 29.67, right? Now, what we're going to do is, now the thing is that in this one, embarked down, we have seen that, like there were only two values, two missing values over there. So what I'm going to do is, like, I'm going to unselect all. I'm going to see that how many like Southampton values are there. So if you guys can see that 644 values are there for the Southampton, right? If you want to check for the Queenstown, so it's gonna be uh, 77, and the Cherbourg is also is gonna be less than that, so it is only 168. So we know this thing that like there are majority values for the Southampton, right? So what I'm gonna do is like I'm just simply gonna replace those missing values with the Southampton. Why? Because these are in majority, right? So what I'm gonna do is again I'm gonna go to home. I'm going into the transform data. I'm gonna click on the transform data, right? The Power Query editor is gonna open over here, right? Then I'm going to move towards the embarked down, like over here. You can simply click over here and then replace the values by going to the transform, replace values, right down over here, null, and then Southampton, right? So this is gonna be the stuff. Oh, now one is the main thing that you guys might have noticed over here that like if I'm gonna simply click over here, there are string blank values. Now the question arises, why is the thing that uh, earlier when we are using the age column, when we used to like impute the mean values over there, right? Uh, the null values are being replaced by the mean value and there was no blank values remaining. Like I can even show you guys over here in the age column. You guys can see now there are no blank values. Now the question arises, why only over here it haven't replaced that stuff, right? So the main reason to that thing uh, is that if I'm gonna able to show you this thing that only the blank values, so you guys can see that these are the blank values. Like the null values is only for the decimal places like values for the discrete numbers, but for the like categories or something like that, it's always gonna be a blank value. It's not gonna be the null value. So that is the reason it haven't replaced that, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna first of all do that stuff and then I'm gonna go back to replace values. And in the replace values, I'm not gonna write down over here anything. And simply I'm gonna put over here Southampton and click OK. Now, once it is loaded, I have to see. Yeah, now you guys can see now there is no missing values, right? Similarly, this is the embarked down. If I'm gonna move toward the embarked option, still there is a thing. So what I'm gonna do is simply the same stuff, like S stands for Southampton and these two stuff. So what I'm gonna do is like simply gonna click over here. I'm gonna go to the replace values and here I'm gonna write down S. Once it is done, I'm simply gonna go to home and I'm gonna write down close and apply. So once it is loaded, we're gonna check that if there is any other missing values in the data, so we're also gonna deal with that stuff. Now, if I'm gonna click over here, there are no missing values, right? Even for the embarked down, no missing values, embarked, where we had the missing values over here, right? in the age. Like there are now no missing values. Now, one more thing is there, like whenever, like you are dealing with the data, so most of the people who have an idea, like who have the idea of the analysis and all that stuff, they know this thing that if there are two columns into data which are explaining the same stuff, so there is no need, like of both of them. You can simply, cut down one of the column out of there. So if you guys can see that this is the embarked, and both of them are explaining the same stuff. Like Q stands for Queenstown, C stands for Cherbourg, and S stands for Southampton, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna simply, like delete this column over here, right? And then we're gonna do other options. Like simply gonna come over here. I've simply right click over here, and then I'm just simply gonna click on the delete option, and it's gonna delete the column even from here. If you guys can see over here, the embarked, now the embarked is missing, right? So this is the way how we are gonna deal with the missing values. Now the options that we use, the Power Query, the things that we have used earlier, these are a part of the DAX operations, right? Now I have to see like if there is anything else. Right. Yeah. Now one more thing that we can do. Like I've told you this thing, like if you want to add a new column into the, like DAX, so you guys can even do that thing. Uh, One more thing I was just simply thinking about is that if you guys, like you guys might have this question that these things are can also be done over the Excel, but why Power BI? So the answer to that question is like, like if you guys are, you guys have to, like you have different sheets of one Excel. Uh, if you have different sheets in your one Excel, right? So you have to, like you have to write down the formula and you have to drop down everything and then it's gonna be done. Or even if you have to do some formulas for every sheets, you have to write down each formula on the different sheet and then it's gonna be go over there, right? But in the case of the DAX, it's not like that. You don't need to drop down on everything. You have to write down a single command and it's gonna run over the whole sheets, right? It's gonna work like that. Now, if we want to add a new column into our data, right? If I want to add the new column, so here this is an option, new column. If I want to see like is there any? Yeah, you guys can even click over here. You guys can simply write down new column. It's gonna shift, or you can simply, like click over here to add new column, right? So in this new, you guys can see over here. Here it is. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write down like I'm gonna name my column as, for example, I'm gonna name it as age group. I'm interested in the age group. Like if the people are, like less than 18 years old, they are gonna be represented as child, and if there are like more than 18 years of age, then I'm going to represent them as adults, right? And one more thing is that, yeah, so over here I'm going to use the conditional statements, right? So I'm going to use write down if, right? And then simply going to put tab. Then I'm going to write down Titanic, like which is the name of my data set, right? Age, and then the conditional less than 18, sorry. If they are less than 18, let them be noted as child, sorry, or simply I'm going to write down adult, right? So this is going to be the way. Yeah, so I'm going to simply close the bracket and I'm going to simply click over here and it's going to take some time to load. So you guys can see that, like these are the column where there's adult and, like the child is also going to be there. Like simply you can see over here from here, adult and child, right? Now, if I want to, I'm just interested because I have to create some visuals. So I have to do some more calculated fields, deal with the more calculated fields. I'm gonna simply click over here to add one new column, and this time I'm gonna write down the column name as. First of all, let's just take a look over the data, right? So these are, like the survived option, column, in which 0 denotes that the people haven't survived, and the 1 denotes that yes, the people have survived. Now, these are the classes like first class, second class, or third class, right? These are the pairs. Now, what is this par ch? So it is basically representing as parent children, right? This sibling spouse, right? Now, if I am interested in the family size, like what is the family size of my, like data set, if I want to get the family size from and make a column out of it, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply write down family size, and then I'm going to write down Titanic. And in Titanic, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down the where is the sibling spouse. Yeah. So first of all, I'm going to click on the sibling spouse. Then simply I'm going to click plus sign, and then I'm going to click on the Titanic, and then I'm going to click on the parent children. Now, what I'm going to do is, like, first of all, let's just see what's going to happen. All right. So you guys can see, like, after loading this, the 0 is coming over here. Well, the question arises, if the person is on the, like that Titanic ship, right? And he has no family size, and his family size is 0, which represents that, like there is no person. So why is the data of that person coming over here? So this basically means that, for example, there is a single person, right? If I'm on the ship, I have no sibling, no spouse on the ship. I have no my parents or like or my children is on the ship, but I'm there. So the family size is gonna be 1. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna simply add 1, right? To just represent that family size is 0, which means, like 1 means that I am the single person who is on the ship. I have no sibling or spouse. I have no children or no parents with me on the ship. So I'm gonna simply gonna click enter, and it's gonna load. So this one basically represents a single person was on the ship, and you guys can see that there are different values, right? Just represent that thing. Now, once it is done, you guys can even do this thing over the like Power Query tab also, right? It's not compulsory, and you guys can even use this DAX operators over here. But we have to, like this is the first session regarding the DAX, so I was trying my best to keep it as simple as I could, so that most of the people can gather the idea like how the things are gonna work over here, right? Now, we will go back to the report view, right? And we're gonna add some more measures to our data. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna simply click on the new measure, right? And now I'm just interested in the survival rate. Like what is the survival rate for my, like the data. So I'm gonna write down over here survival rate equals to find the survival rate. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take the survived people's data, I'm gonna sum it, right? And divide it by the total number of rows, right? So what I'm gonna do is divide, like simply click over here, right? And then sum, and then Titanic. What I'm gonna take over here, I'm gonna take the Titanic survived data. Yeah, this one, right? And then divide it what with the count rows, and then over here is gonna be Titanic. Like it's gonna simply count the rows of the Titanic data and do that stuff, right? I'm gonna simply gonna enter it. So if you guys can see that this is the Mayer over here. If I'm gonna simply click over here, we're gonna get a card over here. And one more thing. let me just do that thing. Whenever you are going to, like do some visual, what you're gonna do is like we were over here, right? So I'm gonna click outside the this specific chart, right? And I want to now click on the survival rate, and it's gonna become over here, right? Now, one more thing which people, like face over here is that if I'm gonna get the idea, yeah, okay. So you guys have different, like filters. You guys can simply you have the format this stuff and everything over here, right? So this is going to be the way if you want to format the stuff and everything. I'm gonna simply click over here. And one more thing which I want to add is that you can simply, like going over, like different part, you can even, like change the decimals if you guys are getting zero values. You have to, like increase the decimal values so that you can get the values in point. If you have the discrete values, then it's okay. But if you are gonna get to the decimal so that you can get even more better information of what the data is explaining to you, right? Now, uh, now what I'm gonna do is like we are gonna deal with one more column is that uh, I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna write down one more column. So I'm gonna name this column as fare per year. Wait a sec, let me just be clear over. Yeah, fare per year of age. So what I'm gonna do is I'm simply gonna write down the formula divide, and then I'm gonna write down Titanic, right? From Titanic, and then Titanic, what I'm gonna collect is the fare, and then I'm gonna put the comma, and then I'm gonna write down Titanic age, right? And simply I'm gonna click this thing. So we are gonna get the average fare per year of age, right? I'm gonna simply click enter. So now you guys can see like this is, like you have the what you're gonna say the stuff over here in the decimals. Now, if I'm able to see this thing, if I'm gonna click on the decimal numbers, I can simply put it to 2, right? Which I was talking earlier that we can even change the decimal numbers, right? And that's gonna be the stuff. Now, these were some of the stuffs like like you guys can do with the data. Like what we have done today is like like we were dealing with the data in which there were so many missing values. We have different scenarios in which in one scenario we just simply delete the column. In one scenario we were like simply imputing the data while using mean imputation, right? In the third scenario what we did was like like we have simply used the stuff like if these values are mostly like by taking simply you can say that that was the mode imputation, like the more there were more values over there, so we have simply like put that value, replace that value with the with that like most repeated value, Apart from that, what we did, we have generated new measures just to see that what is the data showing us. And again, that we were dealing with the stuff, like if we have to create one new columns in our data by using that. So all of these things, all of the formulas that we have done over here in, like table view or even in the Power Query, and even these formulas we can even write down in Power Query, right? So all of these stuff that we did was regarding the tax, right? Now, if we want to see like how data is gonna be visualized to us, like how we're gonna see like what is the data telling us now, what we're gonna do is, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna simply like if I'm gonna click over here on the clustered column chart, right? Uh, I'm gonna simply close this thing for now, right? And I'm gonna put it over here. I can even do this thing, right? And in this, like data, what I'm gonna show is like if I want to see the column of the, like the stacked column chart or clustered column chart or the simple column chart of age, group, and sex, right? So what I'm gonna do is like I'm gonna put simply click over here, select this sex option and put it into the x-axis, right? And then on the age option, I'm gonna simply click over here and then put it over the y-axis. So you guys can simply see that this is like the males were more in the, like the numbers of age and, like even the females, right? The age of the male were more in our Titanic ship, right? So if you don't want it, you can, like use who in the legend. So what is who is gonna explain you the more details if I'm gonna put it into the legend. Or first of all, I'm gonna write down the age group into the legend, right? So if I'm gonna put this thing into the legend, so you guys can see that this blue sign shows the child one and the blue one is adult. So in this male option, the adults who are male, they are more, but the children's are less. Similarly, over here, the same is the scenario, the females and the female children and all that stuff, right? Now, if you guys want to see any other thing, like if I want to see who in the legends option, so you guys can see like now there is a bit uh, different look over here. Like blue is for child, uh, purple is for man, and the orange one is for the woman. But this doesn't explain the stuff. Like you can see that there is even a gap in here. So that's the reason I'm gonna simply use the previous thing that we did for the stuff. I'm going to simply put age group over here into the legends just to take a clear picture of the, like the graph that is explaining to us, right? Now, if I'm interested in the pie chart, oh, that's the problem, which I almost forget every time. I have to click outside and then click on the pie chart. So now this is the pie chart, right? I'm going to see like what are the fares given by the people who are alive and who are deceased, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put alive into the legends, right? Or I can simply click over here, right? And then fare. Uh, yeah. So if you guys can see over here that the people who have alive, they have paid more, right? And the people who uh, didn't, like they deceased or they are not able to get out of the ship, so they have paid less, right? And there are some other reasons for that thing also. So we are gonna also look out that stuff also. Right now, if you guys want to see like if I'm going to simply unselect this one fair, right? And I want to see for the uh, mm, let me see. Yeah. No, not this one. Fair. And now I'm going to select, yeah, this one. Instead of alive, I'm gonna take the class. So if you guys can see that the first class, the more, this is the thing that the first class people have paid more, like what you're gonna say, yeah, more fare for the ship, for like traveling. The third class are a bit more, and the second class are the least one. Now the question is why the second class as people have less fare for driving the ship, because the reason is that there are like more people into the third class. So the total sum of numbers into the third class are going to be increased, and that's the reason that like the second class people are a bit lower in the fare charges. But obviously their fare is a bit more than the third class people, right? People traveling into the third class. Now, if I want to see for the like if I want to like this is if you guys can clearly see over here that it is how simply done. Like I have to simply click over here and it is just giving me an idea like giving me the whole structure of the like I'm not using any other stuff or something like simply on one click everything is going to be done, right? So for example, I'm gonna click over here onto the age group and then on the values, I'm gonna write down the survival rate, right? So you guys can see that the childs have more survival rate than the adults, right? Now the question is why? If you guys have an idea, like like whenever there is some disaster, so the first of all, the main priority is given to like to the females and the children's. Males are like put at the end. So the females and the children's are rescued firstly, and then the like the males are gonna come over there. So that's one of the reason. All right. Now, if I'm going to see some of the more visuals, like for example, the scatter chart. I'm gonna expand it, right? Now, if I'm gonna click on the fair, now I don't want this, like sum of fair. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to say that don't summarize the fair for me, right? So we have all of the values, like it is a simple fair values, no sum of fairs, only fair values, right? And then on the x-axis, I'm gonna put the age, which is sorry, I'm gonna put the uh, fair on the x-axis and then y-axis. So fair, simply go over here on the sum, don't summarize, right? And then there is gonna be age, yeah. So age is gonna be on the y-axis. Simply what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click over here on the summarization and I'm gonna click on the don't summarize. So this is the view of the stuff, like how this is the fair and this is the age, right? And if I want to put the legends over here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply click on the class. Oh, sorry. I'm going to take the class and manually put it into the legends. So you guys can see that these are the age and this is the fair. So the more fair is given by, like the first class people. You guys also get an idea from here also, right? So this is the view what you guys can do with that thing also after getting the idea from the scatter chart, right? Uh, so now what I'm gonna do is if I'm going to click on the, let's just say like I'm not gonna select anything from here. I'm going to simply click on the survival rate, right? And then I'm gonna click on the class. So taking a better look of it, you guys can see that the first class people have paid, like the survival rate for the first class is more. Similarly, the second class people is more, and the third class is the lesser one. Like the survival rate for the third class, obviously they are gonna give priority to the first class people who have paid more for the traveling and all of that stuff. So that's one of the reason that the first class peoples are on the top priority, that they are gonna be get the emergency services on the very first basis. So this graph also explain all of this stuff, right? Now, if I'm gonna put sex into the legends, so you guys can a better picture of it also. Like if you guys can see that the even on the first class, the females are alive more. In the second class, like in all of the classes, the females were given the first priority over there, who are going to be saved over there, right? If I'm going to uh, take sex out and put who, so you guys can see that the blue one is for the child, right? The purple one is for the male. This is the middle one and the woman. So you guys can also take a picture over here. Like this graph also shows you, like if I'm going to use this graph, right? So you guys can simply, like take a picture of it that even in all of the classes, like in the first class, in the second class, in the third class, all right, you guys can clearly see that, like the children and the women were given more priority, like to be rescued firstly, right, instead of the males. So this graph also tells you this thing. Now, one more thing I just want to add, like this is simply the desktop view, right? If you guys are going to open this report into the, like your mobile, so this is how the things is gonna be viewed over there. So I've simply, you guys can also check out the mobile layout view is loading. So this is how when you're going to, like visualize the report on your mobile phone, it's gonna be something like this. It has done it automatically, right? So this is how this is gonna be viewed onto your mobile phone. And one more thing, like you guys can, like simply do anything with your, like if I'm over here, right? You guys have different options. You can, like change the title. You have different properties. You guys can give different background to that data and everything. Like it's totally upon you how you're going to, like format or you want to visual your data and everything. You want to create filters. Like each and everything is gonna be available over here. Like you can, like if you want to, like give more interactive look to your dashboard. Now dashboard, if you guys don't know, so the simple definition for the dashboard is basically like a group of visuals. So we have just simply, like if you want to add more than if you want only one visual on a one page, so I'm going to simply click over here, right? A new sheet is going to appear over here and I'm going to simply, like click on any of the option and create a new chart over there, right? So in page one there are different, so this is basically a dashboard with different, like visuals. And if you want, you can change the color. You guys can simply, like change the background, like how you want to make it visual look better, more interactive. You guys can do from there, right? So uh, yeah, so this is it from the hands-on experience on the Power BI, and thank you so much. Now I would like if you guys have any questions, right? So you guys are most welcome. I would love to assist you guys. And let me just allow you guys the mic also option. Yeah. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, you guys are most welcome. Just shoot the question. I'm ready for that thing. And you guys can even, if you guys are hesitating in, like coming onto the RDO, you can simply, like uh, do this thing over the, what you gonna say, on the chat box, like any question. Or you guys can even give me the feedback of the session also. Am I audible, guys?
Yes, you are audible.
All right. So, any question from you guys? I guess no one have any question or they are just hesitating in asking the questions. But let's just give me the feedback in the chat or simply over here. Like, was it informative for you guys? Like, did you guys were able to learn new things, like how you're gonna deal with the Power BI using DAX and everything? I hope this session was up to your marks. I did try my best, but I just need your feedbacks also. So Yeah, that would be great. Thank you, Rita. All right. So I hope you should now. Thank you, Snan, for the appreciation, Mr. Munib. So yeah, I hope everything goes really well. Thank you, Rita. Thank you, Fiza. Thank you so much, guys, for the participation. I hope that this session was up to your marks, and I believe that you guys were able to learn new things. So yeah, uh, in the next time if I'm going to have a session, I'm gonna give you the update and talking about the certificates regarding the session. All right, we have a new person in the meeting. All right, so let's just stop the recording and talking about the certifications. So regarding the certificates, yeah, stop. Yeah, so you guys might be able to receive the certifications within, like